A few years ago, the future of Discraft was very simple. Paul McBeth plus Paige Pierce equaled success. At the time, 10 world championships between them pretty well guaranteed that any disc, shirt, bag, or accessory with their name or face on it was likely to sell, and sell well. Fast forward to today though, and things are changing, because the future now looks less and less like Paul and Paige, and more like this. Hey everyone, it's Greg from Six Sided Discs, and today is not just a video about discs, but rather a video about what those discs represent to the world leader in disc sports. Specifically, legacy, innovation, collaboration, and prodigy. No, not that prodigy. We've broken down what these discs really mean to Discraft, disc golf in general, and perhaps to you. And let's begin by talking about legacy. No, not that legacy. Founded in 1979 by Jim Kenner and Gail McCall, Discraft is first and foremost a manufacturer of flying discs, whether for ultimate, disc golf, or freestyle. Their focus early on was to create higher quality, more consistent products for disc sports. But our focus is not so much on their legacy itself, but Discraft's respect for someone else's legacy, Ken Climo. To older fans and players though, Kenny goes by a different name. Champ. Picking up the first of his 12 world championships in 1990, Ken Climo dominated disc golf for over a decade, and his name is synonymous with our sport. Despite his incredible success though, disc golf was not as lucrative back then. Ken Climo's career earnings of $438,000 will be eclipsed by Gannon Buhr this season, likely before his 20th birthday. During disc golf's COVID boom, newer fans and players began to hear more and more about the champ. References to him on coverage got people wondering, why is the GOAT of disc golf nowhere to be found in disc golf? Well, one primary reason we learned about in a series of recent interviews is his health. Ken Climo had major reconstructive surgery to remove skin cancer from his face, and the financial and personal toll that took was a contributing factor behind his preference for avoiding the public eye. But in 2022, Paul McBeth won his 6th world championship, and when asked about chasing down Ken Climo's records, he had this to say about the champ's absence.
So often we hear you talk about how you want to chase down Kenny, how you want the most majors, you want to be the greatest of all time without question. What does it mean to get one step closer with one more world title?
I mean, it's awesome, but I just wish he was more present. You see a lot of those greatest of all time, and they're present. So I want Kenny to be more present.
Just 1 year later, Paul got his wish, and Ken Climo agreed to join the commentary booth for the 2023 United States Disc Golf Championship. His commentary received rave reviews. Viewers loved his stories from yesteryear and his calm, poised presence, and most people were probably content with the idea that Paul McBeth manifested the champ's return to the sport, and that would be that. Or so we thought. For over 30 years, Ken Climo was sponsored by Discraft's #1 competitor, rival manufacturer, Innova Champion Discs. While it may not have come as much of a surprise for Ken Climo to venture into other aspects of disc golf beyond commentary, no one saw this coming.
One of the biggest news, I would say, since Paul McBeth leaving Innova, Ken Climo announcement that he will be leaving Innova.
While it was shocking enough that Ken Climo was leaving Innova after over 30 years, the reason why and where he was going was even more of a surprise.
Final off-season move, Ken Climo to ink deal with Discraft. After shock Innova departure, the champ will earn at least $200,000 a year in his new endorsement deal.
Ultiworld's article dropped in early December, but it wasn't until mid-January that we found out what Discraft and Ken Climo had in the works. Climo Disc Golf, a new standalone brand manufactured in collaboration with Discraft and Climo himself. Discraft's press release said the brand seeks to inspire, both on and off the course, by embodying and honoring the passion and dedication that defined Climo's legendary career. And here are their first prototypes. Their first putter, the Champ, is rated at 2300, and the plastic feels close to Discraft's putter blend. And for the first disc that we've tested in the line, we are very impressed. If you don't overpower it, the Champ is a great straight to slightly overstable putter, with a flight that I think more closely resembles a 2301 type putter. That being said, if you really let it rip, it can hold a smooth turnover. And if this shot from our friend Rich is anything to go off of, it's more versatile than you might expect.
Go in.
Oh no!
Next, we have the Bel Air mid-range. Named after the street where Ken Climo grew up in Clearwater, Florida, it will undoubtedly draw comparisons to Innova's Rock, a staple mid-range in Ken's bag for years. Now we have the Bel Air prototype in 2 plastics, a premium opaque blend that's quite soft and tacky, as well as a translucent test blend that feels a lot more like Discraft's Z plastic. And off the tee, they are exactly what you would expect. Straight to overstable, glidey mid-ranges. The flight numbers of 5402 are spot on, because for Caleb, and Rich, and myself, they had a very reliable fade. Lastly, we have their first prototype driver, the Skyway. Named after the Sunshine Skyway Bridge in Tampa Bay, the Skyway is an 11-speed driver designed for easy distance. It looks to have been inspired by the Innova Wraith, so bigger arms will appreciate the Skyway's glide and effortless distance, while lower arm speeds will find it reliably overstable. The new Climo disc golf line represents Discraft's commitment to his legacy in our sport, and, of course, the part that it will play in their future. But it is by no means their only priority. Let's take a look at the second piece of that puzzle: collaboration. Discraft is no stranger to collaboration. They've been manufacturing discs for DGA for years now, and they've of course collaborated with Paige Pierce and Paul McBeth on no less than 10 different molds. But Climo Disc Golf is not their only recent collaboration. Thought Space Athletics, known for their stunning stamp designs, have been working with MVP and at least one other manufacturer to create their own line of discs for several years now. And much to my surprise, and probably yours, it was recently announced their latest disc, the Expanse, is manufactured by Discraft. The Expanse is a new 11-speed driver, rated with 5 glide, -2 turn, and 2 fade. It arrives in a new plastic, Parallel, which feels like a softer version of Discraft's popular, swirly ESP plastic. Designed as a straight to understable distance driver, the Expanse is versatile, with excellent glide and an impressive combination of both turn and fade. It should easily find its way into many players' bags. This collaboration is not one that I saw coming, but it once again shows Discraft's willingness to surprise their fans with something new and exciting. Speaking of new and exciting, let's talk about something that Discraft's been working on since before COVID, way back in 2019. This is the Fused line. The Fused line represents the third pillar of Discraft's future, innovation. The Fused line was first revealed with this, the Buzzsaw, and my first impressions of it were purely based off what I saw online. And to be honest, I didn't really stop and think about how they had created this effect. And whatever I thought was going on, I was wrong. This is not just some visual effect. This is a complex 2-step molding process. Along the inside rim, there's no traditional Discraft tooling with their logo or the mold name, which means this required a completely new mold, or manufacturing approach, or both. Quite simply, this is 2 pieces of plastic fused together. Hence the name. Discraft quickly followed up the Fused Buzz with the Fused Scorch. With flames instead of a saw blade, the Fused Scorch was first released with an interesting mix of visual additives, including Z-Flex Jawbreaker style swirls of color, metal flakes, and more. You can definitely feel where the fused bits of the plastic come together, but it's certainly not distracting and it doesn't feel anything like flashing, so I don't imagine it's going to be a problem for anyone's hands or grips. But does the new Fused line's manufacturing process change anything about how they fly? Yes and no. We'll be comparing the Fused Buzz to an ESP Buzz that we just got for Caleb's Tour Series discs, which are available now on our website. Any profit from sales of Caleb's Tour Series discs go directly to supporting his efforts to travel to bigger and better events, so thank you so much for your support. The Fused Buzz and ESP Buzz side by side are quite similar. Exactly what you expect from a max weight Buzz. You can throw them hard, get them to hold straight for quite some time without any significant turn or fade. But things are different for the Scorch. With most scorches, like this ESP one, you can get quite a bit of turn. But both of the fused scorches that we tested today were much more overstable by comparison, which is good news for bigger arms who have been searching for a scorch that might fight back for them, but bad news for most players that already liked the scorch. In fact, the fused scorch was even overstable on my forehand, which really surprised me, only flipping to flat briefly before it faded out. This innovative two-step manufacturing process is another example of Discraft innovating in a way that no one saw coming. And clearly, they know what their fans want, because these have been flying off the shelf. But Discraft's ability to understand what their fans want stretches far beyond discs and plastics, because for the past few years, they've signed up some of the hottest talent on the market, which takes us to our last future-focused topic, Prodigy. No, not that Prodigy. No, I'm not talking about the disc manufacturer, nor the brand of luggage that I have, no relation. I'm talking about the noun, prodigy, a person, especially a young one, endowed with exceptional qualities or abilities. In this case, of course, we're talking about Mega Distance Machine himself, Anthony Barella. Though certainly not the first example of Discraft signing top-tier young players, Anthony Barella was, for several years, a prodigy with unrealized potential. After several years with Innova, he was still looking to find that first kind of breakthrough win on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. But since making the switch to Discraft, he's started adding wins to his incredible distance and versatility. Picking up 4 Elite Series wins in 2024, Anthony Barella would probably be considered the biggest up-and-coming player of his generation, if it weren't for a slightly bigger up-and-comer, Gannon Buhr. After all, he is 1.5 inches taller than Anthony Barella. So quite literally, bigger. Anyways, back to Team Discraft, because Anthony Barella is not the only talented young player. In fact, Discraft has a history of signing elite up-and-coming talent. Just in the last few years, they've picked up Holland Handley, Ezra Aderhold, Adam Hammes, and Aaron Gossage, just to name a few. And the Discraft Underground team is a hotbed of young up-and-coming talent looking to make it big with Team Discraft. They clearly know they have a prodigy who's ready to turn into a fully fledged superstar in Anthony Barella, which is why they're already introducing discs that he helped design, starting with the Cigarra. Cigarra, which is Spanish for cicada, clever, looks to be a 7-speed fairway driver, designed to be a slightly more overstable cicada. Its profile still looks an awful lot like the cicada. But if it lives up to expectations, it should fit perfectly in many players' bags in a sort of T-bird style slot, right between the cicada and Paul McBeth's Athena. But does it? Let's find out. For my lower arm speed on backhand, the Cigarra was slightly overstable, probably fitting nicely into a T-birdish slot. For Caleb's arm though, it had a nice mix of both turn and fade. I can't say I'd recommend it yet for forehands, as my results were a little bit inconsistent, but there is clearly demand for a disc like it in Discraft's lineup, because we sold out of all 25 that we had in less than 12 hours. But how does this all relate to the future of both Discraft and of disc golf itself? Well, a conversation I'm hearing a lot right now in the disc golf community is very much focused on the future. The COVID boom is long gone, and most people agree that growth has slowed. But there's still new manufacturers and discs and innovations popping up in disc golf every day. But the big question right now is that sustainable? And how long until we see some big changes to established manufacturers? In recent weeks and months, there have been some big moves happening. Dynamic Discs unexpectedly released Kona Montgomery and Ricky Wysocki from huge contracts. One would assume if everything was going fine, they wouldn't need to do that. Innova didn't see any value in investing in Ken Climo, nor were they willing to match MVP's offer to Big Germ. So are they just content with their position in the market and the team they have? While the future is uncertain for some, it does appear to be quite bright for Discraft. Whether through legacy, innovation, collaboration, or prodigy. No, not that prodigy. Discraft seems to have a pretty clear plan to continue to be the world leader in disc sports. No way. That's big. While the future for some companies in disc golf seems uncertain, The future for Discraft just seems to get brighter every day. In fact, just today they signed Ricky Wysocki. But what do you think about the future of Discraft and how all these discs connect to it? Sound off in the comments below. And also comment below if you want to see more content like this in the future. For Six Sided Discs, I'm Greg. We'll see you in the next one. Fast forward to today, and things. Fast forward to today, though. They're perfect. That being said, if you really let it rip, it can give you a. But it is by no means their only priority. Let's take a look at their second piece of the. But it is. It arrives. My first impressions were just based on what I saw online, and I didn't really take time to think about how they created this saw effect within the disc, or is this light literally flickering? Just die already. But does the new fuse? You can definitely feel the seam on the plastic where these fused pieces meet, but it's not too distracting, and it doesn't seem to take away anything from your feel or control of the disc. If you like this content and want to see more, please consider liking the video, subscribing to our channel, or supporting us on Patreon. Your support makes this content possible.